Welcome to the Loau University, and I would like to firstly acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land here in Canberra, especially the Ngunnawal tribe, and also Her Royal Highness Princess Mauitavaheako, who is currently studying here at the Australian National University. My respect to the High Commissioner of Tonga for Australia, Curtis Tuihalangingia, and all lineages and all Tongans who are watching and will be watching this program. This is one of our Loau University's program known as the Loau and World Scholars. Loau and World Scholars, and our specific topic for today is whales as deities and relatives in Tongan culture and Tongan oral tradition and myths. I'm grateful to welcome Professor Tevita or Mauitavaheako from the BYU, and from Hawaii and from Vaihi. To continue our program, we have paused for a few weeks, few months now, and he's back. And I would like to welcome you, Tevita, and show my great appreciation for your time set aside to continue our program. Without further ado, I'll pass on to you to continue, and I will join in as we go. Thank you, MALO.
Thank you, Loau Vavanga. Return to continue the related to Tofua as the title of my presentation, Tofua Whale Culture. This talk that I will be giving today is based on a presentation that I gave earlier this year in March for the Caring for Our Ocean, Exploring Cultural Connections and Kinship with Whales, which was sponsored by ORCA, or the Ocean Rights and Kinship Alliance, and it was a 2023 webinar series. And I will be basing my conversation and my presentation on that talk. I want to begin by talking about my genealogical connection to the whales of Tonga. I am an indigenous Tongan living in Hawaii. I'm living in the diaspora. But as you all know, Hawaii is part of Moana Oceania. And as such, we are connected, and many of our ancestors were traveling back and forth between Vaihi and also Tonga. I am a descendant of deified ancestors Hikuleo, Tangaloa, Maui, and Hina. And my family is connected to Alaipulotu, and Alaipulotu is one of our whale ancestors or whale deified ancestors that I will talk a little bit about today. So I want to begin by just positioning myself as someone who has genealogical and ancestral ties to the whales of Tonga, and why I feel that this presentation is important for us to discuss today. As you all know, I am time-space philosophy of reality, and of course, Da as time, spatial constituting of time, and this is a philosophical movement, Dr. Augustine, to talk about the idea that in Moana Oceanian culture, the past about issues relating to the environment and philosophy of reality that I'm interested and want to make sure that I address are symmetrically configured, meaningful, harmonious, and beautiful relationship with our fonua, our environment. This is a particular Dava time space continuum. In Tongan, this is called Tau Fonua or relationality. One, Tonga, and also to the future, but also to think relationship with the environment in the form of Tau Fonua. I want to begin by talking about whales, as we call them in Tonga, tofua, and I will cover the following ideas. I will talk about the origin of tofua and whales. I will talk about its deep history and ancestral culture of tofua or whales. I will talk about tofua as atua or otua. Atua is the Nuafo'o dialect. I like using the Nuafo'o dialect to talk about it as deities or ancestors and relative. I will mention a little bit about the offering of kava to the whales, to the tofua. I will also talk about tapua and whakawhaanga, which are the whale teeth as shrines for the deities. And then end my presentation by talking about whale watching and whale swimming in Tonga, which is a ecotourism industry that is very lucrative in Tonga. And some of my relatives are part of it. And I think that's another sort of important area to discuss in our conversation today. So let me begin by talking about the origin of tofua'a from a Tongan deep history. The origin of the tofua'a appears to be connected to pulotu, and we know this from the tala of the fish called pelu in Tonga, which talks about the calling of the tofua'a, the whales, and the anga, or the sharks, and other fish. They were called forth from pulotu to come forth to mama. So this particular deep historical narrative places our tofua'a within the sacred place of pulotu, and pulotu is our ancestral homeland, but also our spiritual world, the afterlife, the realm of the Tongan goddess Ikuleo. And so the fact that the tofua'a comes from this place of pulotu gives us very much of a significance because of the idea that all things eiki or chiefly comes from pulotu. Now, some scholars, including myself, have seen pulotu as a place in the West, and of course, most of the uh, deep history of Tonga or historical narratives talk about Pulotu as lying in the Hihifo, the west or northwest of Tonga. And that seemed to be Fiji or even Western Oceania, part of Melanesia. Today, we know that the migration route of the Tofua comes through the Somosomo Strait in Fiji. They come through that path during June to October, especially the humpbacked whales. From Antarctica to Tonga, they come through Somosomo on their way to Tonga. So it makes sense to see them as coming from Pulotu. And during June to October is also the whale watching, whale swimming season in Tonga. Many of that happens around in that particular time. So, if all chiefly fishes, birds, animals, plants originate from Pulotu, and also deities such as Hikuleo as the supreme deity of Pulotu and of course of Tonga, Hokaho yams, Lala flowers. We can also add Tofua and whales to this list of many of our ancient traditional ancestral belongings as coming from this particular area of Pulotu. So, to explain the history and the deep history of Tofua, we have to begin by locating it as um, entity or as a mammal from Pulotu. There are several stories about the deep history and ancestral culture of um, Tofua. One of the famous one is the story of Sinilau and Kai, or in Tonga, it's the story of when Lo'au Tonga Fisfonua and Kai and Longopoa went to sail to the horizon, Tafatafa Akilangi. And this tradition is known in Tonga, but it's also known in the Maori tradition as Tinorau and Kai, and also in the Samoan tradition as Tinolau and I. Um, Basically, the story is that um, decided to go and sail because they had a school in in Tonga in Mananga, and in their school they had a oasis lake, which they practiced sailing back and forth, and there were people who were basic teaching, but not. Well, I wanted to prove to them that he could do it, and he took it. And according to the led to this deep history story, they went, they visited all different places, and they went all the way to the end of the horizon. And we think, or most scholars, beginning with Professor Futahelu, the late Professor Futahelu, believe that this was in Antarctica. But somehow Longopoa and Kai escaped, and Longopoa and Kai ended up in Samoa, where Sinilau lived, and Sinilau took in Kai and took care of him. But then one day, Guy decided he wanted to return to Kai. You can take my two tofua to help you in your journey back to Tonga. And it was basically these two tofua. Sometimes they're named Tonga and Samoa. Other legends name it as Tununga and one Tonga. Kai took this tofua, went all the way back to Tonga, But as he got to Tonga, he basically Sinilao said, after you take, when you return to Tonga, you asked your two whales to return back to me. But what actually happened? They Sinilao Kai traveled to Tongatapu on the back of the two whales, and of course, this is the Tongan whale rider story. So the Maoris are not the only one that have a whale ride story. We also have a whale ride story in Tonga, and this is the one. And Kai and his relative basically killed the whale named Tonga, but the other whale named Samoa or Tununga escaped and reported the incident to Sinilao. And this was seen as a whakawhakafonuakovi, to cause a bad whanua or social ecological by eating this whale that belonged to Sinilao. And Sinilao basically, when he found out that Kai has killed, or Kai and his family on Samoa, and they travel to Hunga Tonga and Hunga Hapai, and they weave a basket called the Hunga style basket. And basically, this style of basket is you take two end of the basket and you connect them, which creates a bigger basket. And Sinilao told Atua of Samoa that they need to go collect all the excrements uh, of the people who ate ate Sinilao's whales, and then bring them back to um, to Samoa. And so they did this. They collected all of it, and then they also brought Kai back to Samoa with them. And they killed Kai, and resurrected Tonga, the whale that was killed. Basically, bringing all the excrements and miraculously bring back this whale, this tofua. Now, what I want to say is that the value of the relationship of Sinilao and his tofua is shown here. That the tofua, the whales, were seen as a close family member, as a relative. In fact, some of the tradition says that the tofua were actually children of Sinilao's mehikitanga, or father or female relative. So these two tofua were seen as family members, and of course, the reason why there was an execution of Guy. So, and then the resurrection of Guy, bringing Guy back to life, also shows this deep connection and love between Sinilao and his tofua. So that's a sort of an important aspect of that story. The other elements of this story has to do with whales as atua or atua, deified ancestors. We know from some of the early accounts, especially with Mr. Tomasi's account, that there was a whale named Alai Pulotu, and Alai Pulotu, the whale and a shark, could come in two forms, whale or shark. And Alai Pulotu is also the father of the famous or well-known shark deity Taufatahi in Tonga. So Taufatahi is a descendant of this important whale in Tonga called Alai Pulotu. And this sort of kind of give us an important element to see the importance of whales that were seen as deified ancestors or ancestors. There was another whale, Otua or Atua, also known as Mauitavaheako, or Awaken in the Deep. Many of them were recorded by Tomasi in his record of this specific whales that were known in Tongan. Otaha was another one. And basically, the idea was that these whales were vaka, they were the vessels. So we have the significance and importance of the Tofua, but we also have other deep historical account of Mauitavaheako as a whale. And these are all significant elements of Tongan deep history that of some of the written down by Farmer back in 1855 that when they went out with Tongans in to the ocean, whenever Tongans would mix kava and actually pour the kava into the ocean as an offering to the tofua. And this is pretty significant because my understanding, the only other animal that this was done to was the beka in Kolovai. That this was one of the ways to bring the beka back if it left the Kolovai. But to see that this same ritual was also done in Tonga as a way of showing the respect for the whales. Before I get into the other elements of the tofua, maybe Professor Lo'au Vavangakitupua, if you have any additions or anything to add to where I'm talking about the elements of that, and then if not, then we can come back to continue my my discussion on the whales.
Yeah, I think, thank you very much, Professor Mauitavaheako. It's very,
Vavangakitupua, you have any additions to the stuff that I'm?
yeah, I'm talking to you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Maybe.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hopefully, he will return back to our.
Professor Kaili,
my
can you just
presentation,
and
maybe just out for a little bit, and hopefully he'll return back to the presentation here.
yeah,
Lo'au Vavangakitupua.
yeah, you can continue. You can continue because I think it's very interesting for you to just continue and finish the talk, and then I can add in some points later on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Mauitavaheako, can you hear me? I can hear you clearly. I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Mauitavaheako, can you hear me? I can hear you clearly. What I have suggested for you to continue and finish your presentation, and I can come in later with some additions and some questions.
Just wait to see if Kitupua will join back, or if he.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Tevita?
Disconnected somehow.
No, I'm not disconnected. I'm here talking to you.
mic got disconnected.
No, Kylie, I'm talking to you. We are live. We are still on. We are still on. I can hear you clearly. I think. Do you have a headphone? Do you have a headphone? Can you see me? Do you have a headphone? Kylie, do you have a headphone to listen to me? Do you have a headphone? Kylie, do you have a headphone? You can't hear me. You need a headphone. Kylie, you need a headphone. Kylie, you need a headphone. I can't hear you. You need a headphone. Kylie, you need a headphone. My apology. My apology. Kylie is off. I'm still waiting for Kylie. Kylie is off. My apology. He thought that I can't hear him, but I heard him clearly and I was waiting for him to, but he doesn't have the headphone. Kylie, please, if you can hear me, put your headphone on so that you can listen to me. I listened, I heard you clearly. Nothing wrong, it's just you can't hear me, and we are still live on air. We are still live, but you have withdrawn, so I can't. I'm still trying to get to you through Facebook. My Facebook was off because I was talking to you, Kylie. If you can please come back, I'm trying to get to you. You just have to put a headphone so that you can listen to me, Kylie. Please, if you can put a headphone on, your headphone on, so that you can listen. That's why you couldn't listen to me because you don't have a headphone, Kylie. Please, if you can come back. Kylie? My apology, Kaili. I can't contact Kaili. He has removed himself. I can't get into him. Kaili, if you can please come back into the forum. My apology. Ka taki pe koe ke lawa hoka te mapolo kalama ku aloa Kaili ia. Ia. Kataki pe ko te peke to e whetutaki mai a ka iri.